What's up, marketers? Today I'm going to show you how to launch your first Snapchat ads campaign like an expert. I'm going to be giving you the complete walkthrough through the entire platform and show you how to launch that first campaign like an agency professional. Additionally, I'm going to be dropping some expert level tips along the way to help you scale those campaigns. The final thing I want to mention is I am also a Snapchat ads ambassador, which means for you, Snapchat ads is going to give you $1,000 in free credit to try out their platform. Essentially, it's a spend 1,000, get 1,000 deal. I also have a lower tiered offer, but if you are a media buyer or a business owner, you already know what a massive value that is, and you can find that link in my description below. You won't want to miss out on that. But this video is going to be no fluff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So in order to get to your Snapchat ads manager, you're going to go to ads.snapchat.com. And again, for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to show you how to set up your ad account. And if you do not have one yet, be sure to sign up with that link below so you can get those free credit. Now here is Snapchat Ads Manager, and before we dive into building out that first campaign, I want to give you a bit of the lay of the land here. First, I want to show you this dashboard right here. Now, Snapchat already has put in some important key metrics here, but as of October 2020, you can't put in things like ROAS or purchase, so essentially you can't edit it. But my rep did say that this was on the way soon, so be sure to look out for that. Additionally, right up here, we have a window toggle, so you can toggle between different time periods. And then the next thing I want to point out down here is the campaign section. So you're going to be able to see you have campaigns, ad sets, that's going to be your targeting and your audiences, as well as your ads. Now, if you advertise on Facebook ads, this should look very familiar to you. And to be honest, you're going to find learning Snapchat ads to be a breeze. Now, the next thing I want to do is show you this menu in the top left-hand corner. This is going to be really important to navigating how to launch your first campaign. So right up here, we have create ads. And just so you know, we also have a create ad section right down here in the lower right-hand side. They're both going to go to the same places so that you can begin creating your campaign. You're going to have an instant create option and an advanced create option. And of course, we are going to be doing advanced create because we want to have as much control over our campaign as possible. Now, right under that, we're going to have Snap Publisher. Now, it's really awesome that Snapchat does this, but what Snap Publisher does, it allows you to convert your videos into vertical Snapchat ads format. So if you're worried about having the right kind of content for your ad creative on Snapchat ads, Snapchat actually makes it super easy for you. So you can see here, you have that converter. You also can customize a video template, and you can also design from scratch, which is awesome. Now, right under the Manage section, you see we have Manage Ads and Snap Pixel. Let's go ahead and look at the Snapchat Ads Pixel. So for the purposes of this video, again, I'm not going to show you how to set up your Snap Pixel, but I will be leaving a link to an article in the description below that's going to show you how to set it up on your Shopify site in under 5 minutes. But what I actually want to do here is I want to show you what it looks like when the Snap Pixel is already installed and is gathering data. The first thing I want to point out here is actually this low match rate percentage on page view. My rep told me that this is actually completely normal, and essentially what it means is that those people have not been matched to an email address or a credit card or a phone number, so that's why the match rate is so low. And if you think about it, it makes sense because they're just page views. But what I do in here a few times a week is I actually go down to all events right down here in the mid right corner, and I take a look at the different events that are triggering on my pixel just to make sure that everything is triggering correctly. You want to make sure here that you're not having a tracking problem and that things don't just die off or flatline. And you got to do that a few times a week so you can make sure everything is tracking okay. Now, the thing that's right above Snap Pixel is Manage Ads, and this is going to take you right back to that Ads Manager homepage. So if you're ever wandering around on the Snapchat Ads platform and you want to go back home, all you have to do is click Manage Ads. Now, the assets section is actually going to be the most important part to actually building out your campaign. First, I do want to start with catalog. So this is where you're going to be able to upload your catalog to Snapchat ads. And again, I'm not going to show you how to do that, but I do have an article that I will link to in my description that will show you how to set that up in under 2 minutes. It is really quite simple. The next thing that we have up here is your audiences. So here you're going to actually be creating your lookalikes. Yes, Snapchat ads has lookalike audiences. I'm going to go more into that in a little bit. And here you can also create your retargeting pools, which would be be like website retargeting as well as different kinds of ads retargeting. And the creative library. The creative library is actually where I begin to set up my campaigns, because for Snapchat, you can actually upload all of your ad creative ahead of time. And I really like doing that because it tends to speed up that process really quick. We're gonna go there in just a second. First, I wanna go through really quickly just the different kinds of things you're gonna see in business settings. You're gonna have your business details, your ad accounts, your members, billing payments. Again, for ad accounts, this is just for agencies mostly, or for maybe for bigger businesses who have different sub businesses, so they have multiple ad accounts. Members, here's where you can add other people to work on your ad account. And then billing and payments is of course where your credit card lives, so that's very important. But yes, next let's go ahead and look at our creative library. So for me, this is actually where I begin building out my campaigns. What I like to do before selecting my campaign objective and building out my targeting is I actually like to create my ads beforehand. So you can see right here I have 3 UGC videos that are ready to go and ready to be inserted into a new campaign for us. If you want to create a new ad, all you have to do is go right over here to New Creative, and you're gonna come to this page and you're gonna see that you have 4 options of formats. You have a single image or video, a story ad, collection ad, filter, AR lens. So to be honest, I do not normally create filter or AR lens. I just don't have those design capabilities on my team just yet, but it is a great option for you if you have those capabilities. For the most part, I concentrate on single image or video, story ad, and collection ad. And when you're just starting off to using Snapchat ads, I highly recommend just using single video ads. And the reason why that is because you want to understand what is making people take important actions from your Snapchat ads. And I find the best way to do this is to start with those single video ads, so then that you can replicate them into a story ad and then finally a collection ad. But it's all about testing, right? And that's just the way that I prefer to go about testing. Perhaps if you have a business or a brand that has many SKUs, you could also throw in a collection ad so that you can have that hero video and then show some product images right below. Does tend to work very well. So you're going to see right over here on the right hand side, that's where your ad is going to pre-populate. You're going to give your ad a name. You're going to also write your brand name and then a headline. A headline can just be like a sub tag, and then you're going to allow it to be shareable. Why not, right? If someone wants to share an ad for free, we definitely want to do that. Here you're going to see top snap media, and what that is just a fancy word for saying your ad creative. So here you're going to be able to upload your videos or your images. Again, I really do prefer video on Snapchat, particularly UGC, but I'll get into that in just a second. Now, the thing that's probably going to be most important is choosing this attachment right here. And for most e-commerce companies, you're going to select website. And then you're going to have a call to action to select. I mostly choose shop now because I want them to make that purchase as soon as possible. But I think the thing that's also most important when you're just starting off is to build out a proper UTM so that you can cross-analyze the data that is showing up in Snapchat Ads Manager and your Google Analytics. So for campaign source here, we're going to write out Snapchat. For the campaign ID, I'm going to have that be the campaign name. For campaign content, that's going to be the creative. So I'm going to select the creative name. And what these like 2 little squiggly lines mean around campaign name and creative name, that actually means that it's going to dynamically render with the name of your campaign or with the name of your creative. And I also want to track 2 other things. So for me, I want to make sure to track all of my paid media in one place. So I'm going to add the medium right there with the name CPC. And then I'm also going to add an ad set because I do want to track the different kinds of audiences and targeting that I'm using here. So I'm going to add ad set name right there. And you do have to add in your website URL, and then once you click continue, you are ready to go. And that's pretty much the format I use for all of my paid social, but this one particularly for Snapchat. Now, the final thing about launching that ad is you have 2 little buttons down here, autofill and preload. Do not turn those on. Essentially what this does is it allows your website to preload in the background when someone is just viewing your ad. So what this means is that your Google Analytics and your Shopify are actually going to read that as someone taking a page view on your website, even though they were just viewing it as an impression on the ad platform. So don't do that. I've made that mistake before and it was an analytics mess. So once you are finished uploading your creative, you're gonna go right over here and hit publish. So again, I already have my 3 videos that I'm going to upload for today's campaign. And I did want to touch a little bit on about what kind of creative does best on Snapchat ads. So if you are already utilizing Facebook ads and you have Instagram story style content, I always recommend testing that out first because you don't have to mess around with the format and it's really easy to just upload and start testing right away. If you don't have any Instagram stories content, what I would actually do is take your best performing video from your ads or even your organic social media and use the Snap Publisher and then convert that video into a vertical format for Snapchat ads. And if you have the resources to create content specifically for Snapchat ads, and to be honest, it's not very expensive, so you definitely should, I would highly suggest looking into user-generated content. This is honestly the kind of content that works the best on Snapchat ads because it feels organic, it feels native, it doesn't feel like an ad, which is really important to Snapchatters. If you guys actually hop on the platform as a user, you're gonna scroll through and see a lot of ads for apps, a lot of ads for apparel and clothing, and the ones that always stick out to me are the ones that are using real people to communicate a real benefit or value about a product or brand. So again, we've already uploaded our creative here in the creative library, which means that we are ready to begin actually building out our campaign. So we're gonna go back to this menu item and hit create ad. And again, we have that option between instant create and advanced create. You already know which one we are gonna select. And here we're gonna start building out that campaign. And first we have to select our objective. Now, again, if you are already advertising on Facebook ads, this is gonna look very familiar to you. So you have awareness. This is gonna increase awareness of your brand or product. And then right over here, you have the consideration phase. So you have things like app installs, driving traffic to website or app. You can run engagement campaigns, video views, and even lead generation. And then you have conversions. So that's gonna be website conversions and catalog sales. Now I'm gonna make this very easy for you. 95% of the time I am using website conversions on Snapchat ads because I want to have a direct response to my ads. And the key metrics that I'm using to evaluate whether or not my campaigns are working are things like purchase and ROAS, purchase conversion value. So those are the metrics that are most important to me, which is why I use website conversions. And if you too are looking to generate sales for your campaigns, that's the one that you want to choose. Now, the other 5% of the time, I do like to experiment with catalog sales, but again, I still do find much more traction out of website conversion for those sales. So we're going to scroll down here a little bit. You can see that we can give it a campaign name. Let's go ahead and give it my name, so Dara website. Status, it's if you want it to turn on after you complete it. Yes, of course we want that. Now here we have a new feature for a creative split test. That's awesome. I actually haven't tested this yet. It's definitely something I'll be testing in the coming weeks. Now start and end is for if you want your campaign to have a specific start date and a specific end date. This is probably going to be really good for things like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when you want to have a specific campaign or offer go up and down at a certain time. Now next we have daily spend cap and lifetime spend cap. Something I want to point out immediately is that Snapchat ads does not have campaign budget optimization or CBO. So you will always be setting your budget at the ad set level. However, if you want to have a spend cap so that the Snapchat ads will not be spending across a certain threshold over a lifetime or daily, then that's where you would set that cap. Now, I tend to not use daily spend cap or lifetime spend cap because I find Snapchat ads actually does a good job regulating itself by using the budget that is in the ad set level. So once we have all that set up, we are ready to go to the next part. Next, you're gonna be building out your ad set, which to me is the most exciting part because this is where you're going to be determining what kind of audiences you're gonna be targeting. So here first, you have the ad set name. I'm actually going to fill that out at the end so I know exactly who I'm targeting. Then Snap Pixel, of course, we want to make sure that's turned on. And then for your ad formats, you're going to select whether or not you're going to do a story ad, single image, or collection ad. So the way that Snapchat ads works is you do have to segment by ad set these different kinds of formats. So that is just something to note. Like I said, you should just be using video for those first few campaigns so you can figure out what kind of ad creative is actually making an impact on your audience. Now, next up, we have placements. Now, I always do automatic placements for Snapchat ads, and frankly, I almost always do it on Facebook ads as well. But if you want to pop in here really quick, you can see that we can edit where the ads are going to be placed. You can also select only between user stories, so that would be like stories between friends. And you can also select which categories you want your ads to show up in. So it could show up between beauty and fashion content, general lifestyle content, science and technology content. I have tested that a few times and I didn't find it to work very well, so I definitely just recommend using automatic placements. Then next you have locations. Next up is demographics. Here it's going to be pretty standard to start. You're going to have your ages, genders, languages, and then your advanced demographics is actually where it gets interesting. Here they're actually leveraging third-party data to target people like moms, business owners, people who have a certain education level, as well as household income, which is actually something that Facebook took away a number of years ago, so it's cool that it shows back up here in Snapchat. Now, I do want to make a note about this. I don't tend to use advanced demographics for targeting. I just haven't found it to be very effective for some of my clients. So I wouldn't start off testing those certain advanced demographics, but if you think that there's going to be one that's just going to be a slam dunk for you, I would definitely test it later down the line. Now, the real meat of the ad set development is actually going to come right here in audiences. So you're going to have two places to select from. Your predefined audiences, this is going to be like your interest targeting, and then your custom audiences. This is going to be things for like your retargeting pools or your lookalikes, and you can also include and exclude certain audiences. So if you want to export a custom list of your purchasers and then exclude them using this custom audiences feature, that's where you would do that. But I want to dive into the predefined audiences because I think that Snapchat's interest targeting is actually fascinating and super powerful, and the way that they've set it up actually makes me feel like I'm marketing more towards humans as opposed to certain interests, which is the vibe that I always got on Facebook ads. So I want to dive into this and show you what it's like. Number one, you're going to be able to select from 4 different categories. You're going to have your lifestyles, your shoppers, your viewers, and your visitors. Let's go ahead and pop into lifestyles. What I think is like so cool about Snapchat ads is like you can target like different kinds of humans, like clubbers and party people, fashion and style gurus, hipsters and trendsetters, like outdoor and nature enthusiasts. I just think it's such like a great way to think about people instead of just targeting certain interests. Now the shoppers portion is where it gets really interesting, and I think that this is where you should actually concentrate your first initial tests, because this is where I actually find the most traction on the interest targeting platform. So you're going to see immediately that they have 2 different third-party data sources that you can choose from, and you want to make sure that you go into both because there is quite a bit of overlap. So what I think we should do is we should actually pretend like we are doing targeting for a men's apparel brand so that we can find the different ways to target people who might be interested in men's apparel. So right here up front at first we have apparel shoppers, which is awesome. So you can do things like jewelry, luxury apparel, men's apparel, ding, 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 that's one. So we're gonna go ahead and you can see that we have a little check mark right there. And then scroll down. I mean, there's so much stuff in here. You guys can honestly just like have a great time looking around what's here. But we also want to pop into the other third-party data. And again, there's that apparel bio, so you're seeing that overlap. But what's cool is you can see that they actually go into the different kinds of stores. So here's one, Brooks Brothers. So if you're doing men's apparel, Brooks Brothers is a great one to look into. What else do we got? Eddie Bauer? Maybe. I think our guy is kind of bougie though. Levi? LL Bean? Yeah, he's like outdoor bougie. The North Face? And then we even have shoe buyers. What? Is there any like kind of bougie shoes? DSW? Maybe. I'm gonna leave it out though. And then things, there's just honestly so much fun stuff in here. I always like kind of lose my mind. But something else I want to point out right here is seasonal buyers. Now, this is my little hack for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because you can actually target people who are Amazon Prime buyers, as well as Black Friday buyers who are interested in apparel. I'm definitely going to use that one. They even segment it by things like electronics, kids, mass merch, what? And then again, for online buyers, I guess we should select the online apparel buyers as well. That makes sense. Columbus Day buyers, that's not cool. And then again, they have it for Cyber Monday, so another Cyber Monday apparel. So I guess this audience that we're building out right now would kind of be like a guy who maybe has slightly bougie taste but is interested in getting good deals. So maybe we would be pairing it with an ad that has some kind of discount on a really sort of elevated product. But I also, before, we launch that, I want to look into the viewers. Again, the viewers are going to be the kind of content that your audience is interested in watching. So this could be different kinds of movies, different kinds of TV shows. Really what we want to think about is when our guy is relaxing at home, what kind of TV is he watching? Now, visitors is kind of creepy, but really cool as an advertiser. You can actually target people who have visited specific locations. And my favorite one to show people who are new to the Snapchat ads platform is to show them the dining establishment visitors going to coffee shops and be like, does our guy like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks? I mean, if he's like a Boston guy, he definitely likes Dunkin' Donuts. But honestly, there's tons of cool stuff in here. You can even like look at what kind of bank our guy likes. So like, does he have a Chase Bank or Citibank or Wells Fargo? Probably Wells Fargo, right? Yeah, I mean, there's just, honestly, Snapchat did so good at this. It's so fun to explore and like think about what your customers are doing. I think something that's going to separate the good from the great marketers in 2021 is thinking about your users as people. And I know it sounds super woo-woo, but it's something I have to constantly remind not only myself, but also the people on my team that we are creating content that humans enjoy and that our targeting is also reflecting that creative. So we are giving a more personalized, authentic experience. Well, that was a lot. So let's continue filling out this ad set. Here we have devices. Honestly, I just leave it on all in all. If you are finding that you're getting more from iOS or Android, maybe you could run a test later down the line to do one or the other and see if that improves your cost per purchase, but it's definitely not something that I'd recommend starting off with and testing. And then here is the final part, is delivery. Obviously, we want it to be active. Budget is going to depend on your budget, but also the cost of your product. I'm going to leave it here at 50. You can change whether or not you want it to be daily or lifetime budget. And again, you have the option to have it start and end whenever you want. Now, something I want to mention is when you first start on Snapchat ads, you're only going to be able to optimize for swipe up. So that's going to be your goal. I do have a little bit of a hack for this. And what we've actually done in the past is we've taken the purchase event, put it on the page so that when someone gets onto the page, it actually triggers the purchase event. And I think you have to have it trigger about 50 times. And what we do is when we hit those 50 events, we actually take that purchase event, put it back into the right place, and then we're able to optimize for the pixel purchase, and we're able to get a lot better results that way. To be honest, when we started off just doing swipe up on a few of our accounts, we still did get really good results, but you want to be sure to unlock that pixel purchase event as soon as possible. Now, another thing I get tons of questions on is which bid to choose. And for the most part, when you are starting off and you're testing a few different kinds of audiences to see what sticks and what creative is making the most impact on your campaigns, I would start off with auto bid. But the things that you're also going to want to test here is target cost, and really what you're going to be looking for here, especially when you can optimize for pixel purchase. So you're going to see that you can get the target cost per pixel purchase. Ideally, you'd want to put your target CPA or cost per purchase in there. But what I like to do actually is, if I'm launching a campaign for the first time, I'm going to be testing about 5 or 6 different audiences right out of the gate. And then once I find a few winners, then maybe I'll take the one that's performing the best and then do a split test between target cost and max bid and see what is actually going to move the needle on my campaign. Now, the last thing in the ad set section is third-party tagging. And if you don't really know what this is or you're confused by this section, that means it's not for you and you should just move on. But if you have third-party tagging that you want to implement, this is where you would do it. Now we're going to next. Now here's where it says to build your ads, but if you remember, we already built out our ads in the creative library. So we're gonna go right here and load existing creative. And we can see one of the UGC videos that I have, UGC2. Looks good. Now we can go ahead and create another ad, and then we can load that existing creative. But we gotta find that other ad. There's UGC video 3. And we got one more. I think that was Thunder Outside. Great, love it. Come on, UGC1. There we go, UGC1. Sweet. So we want to just go through, make sure, yep, website URL is good. It's going to be active. We don't have any impression tags or swipe up tags. Good. Next. Now we're just going to review really quickly and then launch our campaign. Oh, it doesn't, okay, that snap pixel is on. Good, good, good. Awesome. No third-party tagging for us, and then publish. And this always makes me happy when I see it. It's just like ad platforms should make you happy. And every time I see this, I'm like, pumped. Yes, and then success. Your ads are now under review. Awesome. So let's go ahead back to manage campaign. So you can see our campaign popped up right over here. Oh, we forgot to actually edit the name. So let's go ahead and just do that really quick. So these are our men's apparel buyers. Go ahead and save and close that. So we have launched our first campaign, but we are not finished yet because we definitely need to add in some more ad sets so that we can be sure to test as much as we can and really figure out which audiences is not only connecting best with our product, but with our creative. So the next thing I want to talk about is lookalikes. So once we have our campaign all set up, you see it right there, Dara website conversions. That's going to be updating for a little bit. Now I want to talk about how to create your lookalike audiences. So you're going to go up here to the corner and then go to audiences. So I already have a number of lookalikes built out in this account, but I want to show you how you can create it yourself. So you're going to go over here to new audiences, and then you can see that you have custom audience, lookalike. Let's go ahead and click on lookalike. Now I'm a big fan of Snapchat ads lookalike targeting for two major reasons. Number one, the look back windows on Snapchat ads lookalikes are twice as big as Facebook ads. So for Facebook ads, take for instance a pixel purchase lookalike audience. They are only allowed to have a look back window of 180 days on Facebook ads, but for Snapchat, you can actually have 395 days, which is more than double of 180 days. So I find that you're actually able to have more of that data and it results in stronger performance. Now, the second thing is right down here, you can see in the lookalike type audience. Now here you're going to be able to select between reach, balance, and similarity. Now a similarity lookalike is going to be an audience that is most similar to your seed audience. So if you are familiar with Facebook ads, this would be like your 1% lookalike audience. Now balance is going to be somewhere in between, so maybe like a 3 to 5% if you're familiar with Facebook ads, and then your reach is going to be like your 10% lookalike audience. Now the reason why I like this is number one, you only have 3 choices. On Facebook ads, you have anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, all the way up to 10%, and then you can segment between like 4 to 5%. It is a mess, and you're constantly wondering like, am I not doing enough to test these campaigns? Snapchat makes it so easy and so simple, which is why every time you actually are creating a lookalike audience, I recommend testing the similarity, balance, and reach all right out of the gate. So what I would do if I was launching that first campaign on Snapchat ads, I would actually take a custom export list from my Shopify of my purchasers. It does have to be at least 1,000 people, so keep that in mind. And then I would import that into Snapchat and then create these 3 lookalike audiences off of it and launch that in my first campaign. It's going to be super powerful. Now, the other thing that I want to mention while we're here is in this audiences section, this is also where you're going to be able to create your retargeting. So where you do that is in custom audience, and you can see right here, you can target people based on website events. So you can add the normal events like add to cart, and then you even have down here pages viewed, purchases. Pages viewed, by the way, is like your website visitors. I always get kind of confused on that one, but you can also add custom events here. So if this is your first time on Snapchat ads, you might not have enough traction on your pixel to create that retargeting audience, but as soon as you're able, I would go ahead and create an audience based on people who have pages viewed. So again, that's just going to be anyone who has visited your website. And I would go ahead and keep that up to 395 days. Like, again, you want to give the pixel as much data as possible, especially in those early days. So once you created that custom audience for your website retargeting, one other that I want to mention would be in ad engagement. So you can actually create an audience based on how they engage with your ad. You could do swiped up on an image or video ad, completed a top snap video ad, so that just means they completed watching your entire video, opened a story, shared or saved, a lens or filter, and were served a paid impression. Now what I would do here is I would actually create an audience based on the first 4. If they were served a paid impression but didn't really take any action, that sort of seems like a waste of money to me. Now I probably would not add this audience to test right away. I'd probably use it after a few more custom events were unlocked on my Snapchat ads pixel, but it is a really safe way to scale up your budgets so that you can get those people who have maybe interacted with an ad, didn't quite make it to the website, so that you can push them further down the funnel. Now I'm not going to go through building all that out again because you guys are already masters at creating a campaign on Snapchat ads, but this is ideally the kind of ad sets that I'd start off with. And again, if you don't have enough data on your Snap Pixel to create that retargeting audience, or maybe you don't have enough purchases to create that custom export list and Shopify and upload that to make a lookalike. Then I would start off by testing 4 or 5 different interest targeting options. And maybe instead of just doing different kinds of shoppers, you could also do different kinds of lifestyle. Now, what's cool about Snapchat is they're actually going to help you with that interest targeting once you start getting more pixel data. But I'll go into that in just a minute. Now, once you've launched your campaign, there are still 3 things that you need to know and be aware of so you can continue to manage your Snapchat ads campaigns like an expert. And the first thing that you should really do after you launch that first campaign is set up your columns, and you can do that by editing right here. I actually already have mine in saved views under Dara, and I'm going to go exactly through what I have here. But again, if you want to edit yours, just be sure to go into your columns, select the KPIs that mean the most for you, and then arrange them so that you can have them show up in the order that you want. Now, I probably should include daily budget here just so that I can also always be aware of what my daily budget is. But I always have amount spent here, ROAS, because again, this is the most important KPI to my clients. And then we also have cost per purchase, purchases total, add to carts. I really like tracking the ratio between purchases and add to carts. So one of the big things that I always talk about with my clients is if there is a big drop off between add to cart and purchases, it doesn't actually mean that people aren't interested in your product or it's not a good enough product. What I actually find that signals is that there's something about your product that they don't quite trust. So there's an objection that you need to acknowledge, or the price is too high for them. I also have swipe ups, paid frequency, paid impressions, CPM. Normally I don't really track CPM so much, but CPMs on Snapchat are so much more affordable than Facebook. However, I have noticed that they have been getting a little bit higher due to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so that's why I have that in there. We also have cost per swipe up, video plays at 50. And here's something that I definitely think all advertisers should do on Snapchat ads. Now you're gonna see I have the purchases total view, the total view for value, and then the total swipe up, and then the total value swipe up. Now, essentially what this is this is breaking out the difference between a view through conversion and a swipe up conversion, in this case, a swipe up purchase. Now, what a view through purchase is someone who viewed your ad and then made that purchase within 1 day, but didn't actually click on your ad to make that purchase within the same browser. Now, for a purchase total swipe up, what that means is that someone actually swiped up on your ad and then made that purchase within the next 28 days. And the reason why I want to track these is because Snapchat, like all other advertising platforms, is prone to over attribution. So this is why we want to make sure that we have those UTMs filled out when we are creating those ads so we can cross-analyze that data in Google Analytics. But I found another way to just kind of keep a better pulse on what my campaigns are doing is segmenting between view through conversions and swipe up conversions. And what's so interesting here is that it's completely even between view through conversions and swipe up conversions. If you start looking at this data on your Facebook ads, you're actually going to notice that in some cases, the view through conversions are going to be a lot more prominent than swipe up. And I know this is a total can of worms for advertisers. If you are a media buyer, you're probably like, oh girl, don't go there. But I like knowing on Snapchat ads the ratio between view through conversions and swipe up conversions so that I can communicate that value to the client, because I really am finding that a lot of the purchases that are coming out of Snapchat these days are actually directly attributed to swipe up, which means that Snapchat is actually having a very big effect on their funnel. So that's something that I always like to keep in mind, and I definitely think is something you should keep in mind as well. So once you set up your columns, the next thing that you're going to want to look at once you start getting some more data going through your campaign is you're going to want to come over here to your campaign name, and you're going to see a few things down here. You're going to see create ad set. You're going to see edit, so that's like if you want to make an edit. You're going to also see clone, so that's like duplicate. But you can also see view insights here. Now this is super awesome, and this is actually going to help you find more targeting options to explore and test. So what I really like doing when I'm in here, and I'm just going to go lifetime so that you can see some of this interesting data. So I'm going to go to the lifetime of this account, and I'm going to change up here paid impressions to purchases. So you can see from this account that the highest amount of purchases are actually coming from the 25 to 34 age range, with the second being 21 to 24. So seriously, if you have a segment of your audience that is under the age of 40, you really need to check out Snapchat ad and give it a test, because you're going to be able to get a lot more of those conversions for a cheaper price. And honestly, people are on the platform. It's crazy how often I have to talk about it with my clients, but I think looking at this data is very damning, and it's just evidence that more people should try getting on the platform. So the thing that's going to be really cool here is you're going to see that you have your top interests. So I'm not super surprised that sport fans are a part of my top interest because it is a sporting goods product, but they also have gamers and film and TV fans. I honestly would have never thought to try targeting that. And then right here under top interest, you're gonna have so many things. And what's so cool is you can see the percentage of your purchasers that are interested in that thing. You can see that 91% of my purchasers are also sports fans. I mean, that's pretty cool. And then go down here, adventure seekers, yeah. Celebrity news watchers, really? Men lifestyle, and that's why we launched that men's apparel audience, right? Right down here, hipsters and trendsetters, so cool. I mean, it was kind of embarrassing how short ago it was that I figured this out, which is why if you have this right out of the gate and you're using it and looking into it at least weekly and then informing what you're gonna test next by using this data, I mean, you're gonna be unstoppable on this platform, right? So let's go back to manage ads. So the last thing that I want to talk about is creative. And one of the kind of disappointments that I have with Snapchat ads in general is they don't have a ads library where you can check out what kind of ads your competitors are running. This is something that Facebook ads has at the Facebook ads library. And to be honest, I am in it like several times a day because I am nosy and I want to see what kind of ads and creative that other companies are running. So I did find a little hack for this for Snapchat ads, and I want to share it with you so you can do it for all of your competitors. And essentially where that begins is you have to download the Snap Pixel Helper on your Google Chrome. It's going to be really easy. If you go to Google Chrome, type in Snap Pixel Helper, get that in. And then what I would actually start doing is going around to your competitors' websites. The way that I found out to do this, and I know it probably seems pretty obvious, but the way I found out to do this was I was on the Saint Laurent website the other day. Now, I'm not that bougie, I swear, but I was on the Saint Laurent website the other day and I was clicking around a little bit under some women's items, and I saw that they had a Snapchat pixel, and I was like, what? Cool. And later I was actually retargeted with this Snapchat ad, and I was like, wow, like, number one, I always get pushback from luxury brands that are like, our customers are not on Snapchat. I mean, clearly Saint Laurent uses it, so they know something that we don't. But it gave me this idea where I was like, this is how I figure out what kind of content my competitors are using. So what I do now is I actually go to my client's competitor's website and I take important actions on that site. So I am viewing tons of products, I am clicking around to multiple pages, I am adding things to cart, and then I am abandoning cart. So what I do then is I later get on Snapchat as a user and I look out for their ads, and it has worked really well. So it's definitely something that I would recommend for you so that you can see what your competitors are doing and take the strategies that you like and that are working well for them, but also just learn how to take it up a notch. I always think that for creative, people get really stuck and hung up on it. Part of the way that I've been able to become a lot more confident about developing creative strategy for multiple brands is by keeping informed about what the latest trends are, and also just taking note of what I really like as a user and what is making me convert. And that is it. I know that was a ton of stuff to go over, but I honestly had a great time showing you guys through the entire platform, and I hope that you learned something. And if you have any questions about Snapchat ads or even about the great offer that Snapchat is giving you, please hit me up in the comments below. I'd love to start a conversation about it. I'm also really active on Twitter, so if you @me, I would love to have a conversation about Snapchat ads. So that's it. I'll see you next week. Bye.